Yeah, hi friends, this is Bob Hatton, this is Encourager. Well, it's good that you've joined me again today. We're coming slowly but surely to the end of the story, and this plan is now coming to a conclusion. We're on to the last book of the Bible. This book is called The Revelation of John, or the Revelation of St. John, and it is a very interesting book. It's a difficult book to understand. There's a lot of symbolism in there. Many people have had many different interpretations during the last during my lifetime. I've heard so many different opinions about what it means and how to understand it. There's a lot of speculation that people start to teach around the book of the Revelation. And it seems that every new crisis we have, as soon as the crisis comes, then somebody gets the book of Revelation and they know exactly what it is. Well, actually, I think that God has given us this book not to speculate, not to tittle our interest in what could happen at any moment now, but he wants to show us something else. But we'll come to that in a minute. Now, the man who wrote this book is John. Yeah, the same John who wrote those 3 letters and the same John who wrote his gospel. Now, John has become a very old man, and towards the end of his life, there is a bitter persecution come onto the church. Many people are being killed and imprisoned, and the churches are being destroyed. And even John, he should have been condemned to death. He should have been executed. But somebody had, put it in inverted commas, somebody had mercy upon him. And instead of having him executed, he was sent in exile to the island of Patmos. That's a little island, a Greek island in the Aegean Sea. And he went there, and I'm sure he had to do hard work in the mines or something. And remember, he's 95 years old. Now, that's an exceptional old age for even in our day, but in those days especially. And I guess he was hearing bits and pieces of news coming from the main line that churches were being destroyed, that believers were being imprisoned, that many were losing their lives. And on top of that, there was a kind of immorality coming into the church. The people were not as dedicated as they had been to the cause of the gospel. And I guess John was very disappointed. And maybe you were disappointed, and maybe you were discouraged at the moment because of the development of things. During the past week, I've been telling you a lot of positive things that are happening. But I think about 2 weeks ago, we were on our way to church. We had the radio on in the car, and we were listening to some news on Sunday morning. It's news about the churches, I think between 9 and 10 o'clock. And we were listening to that, and they were talking about the number of people who were leaving the Lutheran, the state church here in Germany, and the Catholic church. And the number was 440,000 people had left in 2020. They'd left the church, and that's like a little bit of, it could be very discouraging. If they all joined our church, then maybe it would be good news, but they don't. We lose them not just for the church, we lose them for the gospel, and that is disappointing, that is discouraging. And many other things that happen, they can discourage us, and discouragement is really poison for our spirit, and once it gets in there, it's difficult to get it out. Now, I guess this is an attitude that John has received, and whilst he's there, maybe I'm not quite sure what it means. He says he was in the Spirit on the Lord's Day. I don't know what the Lord's Day is, because every day is the Lord's Day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And he says, I was in the Spirit on this day. Now, again, I don't know what he means, but he had a certain attitude. He was seeking the Lord. And he tells us that he heard a voice behind him, a loud voice, and I think this voice must have somehow been familiar to him. And I just want to read to you what he saw when he turned around to the voice. And in verse 12 he says, when I turned to see the voice that was speaking to me, and on turning I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the lampstands, one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe and with a golden sash around his chest. The hairs of his head were white, like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and his feet like burnished bronze, refined in a furnace. And his voice was like the roar of many waters. And in his right hand he held 7 stars, and from his mouth came a 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in full strength. And you know, actually, this book of the Revelation, it's not the revelation of John. It's not the revelation of the Antichrist. It's not a revelation of all the bad things that could happen. It's not a revelation of all the speculation that we would like to have. It says in chapter 1 and verse 1, the revelation of Jesus Christ. And when I read the book of Revelations, what I see is Jesus. And John had a vision of Jesus. And John shows us how Jesus is. That he's the Lord of Lords. That he's the King of Kings. He's the victor riding the white horse. He has a sword in his hand. And the word of God is coming out of his mouth. He fights against his enemy. And he is victorious. And so, dear friends, if you are suffering from discouragement at the moment, you know what we've got to do? We've got to get a revelation of Jesus Christ. Not a revelation of John, not a revelation of the Antichrist, not a revelation of some kind of end time theories, but a revelation of Jesus. See who Jesus is. And no matter what your situation, if it's in your church or if it's in your country, if it's in your personal life, do you know something? Jesus is on the throne. And at the end of Matthew's gospel, he says, I have been given all power and authority in heaven, but also here on earth. And we need to turn around and look to him. And when we do that, we'll be encouraged. God bless you. Have a very good day. You're Bob Hatton, your encourager.